wetlands are important for a number of reasons. Down at on coastal wetlands along the coast, certainly in the Gulf, but anywhere around the country or anywhere else in the world, they really perform a couple of important functions. A lot of sea life, seafood industry, as you're concerned, actually grows there, of course. But more than that, a lot of the big fishing schools of fish and just communities of fish, populations of fish are fairly close into the shoreline, the first 10 or 20 miles essentially. And many, many species of fish actually come into the wetland areas to lay their eggs. So it's really the breeding ground for large percentages of the fish populations in the ocean. So if there are no wetlands, if it's just ocean and shoreline, then there's no real breeding ground for these huge fish populations. They will rapidly die off. The wetlands also on the coast kind of operate as a filter, if you will, from things coming off the land. There's agricultural runoff and all these other sorts of things that, if they wash out into the first couple of miles of the ocean, will kill coral reefs and sort of basic life along the floor of the sea. So the wetlands kind of absorb all this, filter it out, kind of works itself into the sediment, and it has evolved over time where, for some strange reason, in certain cases, it doesn't really bother that local. In a way, wetlands are fragile and they're really hardy because there is this mix of seawater, saltwater, freshwater, and they can deal with quite a lot of change to a point. But when you get past that point, then it's really a rapid decline, and that's what's happening in a lot of areas.
A hardy, lush area of wetlands can absorb a lot of seawater. I think it's a foot for every 40 miles or something like that. Anyway, if you have a storm surge coming in, the wetlands kind of can absorb some of that water, so it's not as high when it reaches. Plus, there's just rising sea level. It's like global warming. Yes, it happened. It's happening. Rising sea level. Yes, it's happening. If you look at the data and don't get passionate about it, just look at the numbers. It's happening. So just basic sea level rise, if there's just the end of the city, the water's just going to come up. If there's a wetland, it kind of acts like a sponge and absorbs things, and so it really reduces the threat to the infrastructure. The reasons, actually, what's interesting, I know about southeastern Louisiana in particular, that vast area of wetlands is the wintering grounds for 70% of all the waterfowl from everything north in North America. So the proverbial Canadian geese flying over your head in the wintertime, that's where they're going. They're going to southeastern Louisiana. 70% of the waterfowl in all of the United States and Canada spend the winter in these wetlands. Well, if there's nowhere, if there are no wetlands, where are they going to go?